you remember we were going to review it just with the different weeks and everything caught up with us, so we never got to do it, but we were going to review Rebellion.
I still have notes.
Yes, but I watched it, and the first thing I saw was...
Your man nearly...
That is a 16-foot ring. Why are we not going into meltdown? Why isn't the internet losing its mind over a 16-foot ring?
To be fair, because no one caught that young fella who did a swanton bomb to the floor.
Oh my God.
And nearly died.
Oh,
did you see that?
Oh my God.
That was crazy. I wouldn't mind Moose was there, and he should have been able to catch him, because
because he's that tall.
He's that tall.
If he put his arm up, the lad only would have had Dave 18 inches.
But jumping off the top of I'm glad he brought that up, because we didn't talk about it, just the way it's been the past couple of weeks. But when I saw that spot, one, all of them should have been reprimanded for it.
Yeah.
Two, don't do a swanton off the top of an Ultimate X onto nothing. Look, if there was a bunch of tables lined up,
do it.
Yeah, but catch it. Or have tables.
You had a bunch of very large professional wrestlers,
and they moved out of the way.
I think one of them
they moved. It was just
very bad form.
It was very bad form. It's
and not even slagging, because you know the way when botches happen, people slag the company. Oh, WWE, oh, AEW. Yeah. No, the individuals involved. I was like, that wouldn't be acceptable at any indie show in the country.
Look, no, I wouldn't say that isn't a botch. That's
bad form.
That's bad form. Look, with wrestling, it's not real. It's a performance thing.
Yeah,
you trust the person you're in the ring with, right?
Exactly.
It's not like a combat sport where you're trying to actually beat the man.
Yeah,
you're there to put on a performance, and they just moved.
Yeah, if you're in the taekwondo or jiu-jitsu or whatever, and the guy's going to fall on his face,
fine,
that's on him.
Yeah.
But if the guy has trusted you
to catch him,
that he's going to fall on his face on the proviso
that you're catch
there,
him. Yeah.
So I just thought it was bad form.
But here,
the fact that it was every single one of them made it more than a botch. Just made it bad form.
I've never seen that before. I've never seen and again, I've watched TNA pretty much from its inception, and it's a very un-TNA thing to do. Usually, they do catch them. Usually there is that kind of thing. But look, they're not the first lads to do spots off the top of the Ultimate X. But doing a swanton like that, it leaves very, very thin margins for error.
Yeah.
If they don't catch you, you're dead.
Yeah.
And he's very lucky that he's not dead.
That's why you do it onto a pile of 5 or 6 people, not onto one guy.
Or onto a bunch of tables.
Yeah, well...
because they break or fall. Actually, I was watching something the other day. Spike Dudley had a bad botch back in the 2001. And what happened?
Spike Dudley's whole career was bad botches.
No, what happened was apparently he missed the table, right?
Yeah.
But the back of his head
just clipped
it, and that's what saved him from being a paraplegic.
Oh.
And it was just like, wow, that's scary.
It looks so rough.
It looks so... You know the one I'm talking about, the one from Raw?
Yes, I know exactly. Out of the ring.
Yeah, out of the ring,
yeah.
Misses the table completely except for his head.
The back.
Yeah.
Oh.
But that's what saved him from being a paraplegic, because it slowed him down just enough that he was able to land.
Clip that for the YouTube short.
I will, I'll put that in the short. But again, I think that's why out of Rebellion, that was the thing everybody was talking about.
Well, not to derail us, but if we're ever going to have a conversation about hardest men in wrestling, I'm putting Spike in there.
Oh yeah,
putting Spike in the conversation.
Is he your Bookily?
I see. Everything else about his career screams Bookily.
Everything.
But the fact that he got so much abuse and took it all and walked, not limped or was wheeled out, walked away from wrestling, it kind of makes him a bit of a legend.
But same with Mikey Whipwreck.
Mikey Whipwreck, yeah.
That was his whole gimmick.
It was
to get battered.
Just getting abused.
And look, Tommy Dreamer as well to an extent, but he cries way too much. I think every time he if it's not...
It was grand the first couple of memorial ECW shows.
It's not.
But now if he walks past Lexington Avenue and he sees the E in Lexington, he starts bawling.
Who cries more, him or Cody?
Oh, well, the thing is, I think Tommy's tears are at least genuine. I think he does harbour a tremendous graw for the ECW days.
Except when he planned to kill Paul Heyman at WrestleMania 17.
I think that is as ECW as it can be, because he owed them all a lot of money.
For listeners that may not know, do you want to tell the story?
No, you go.
I'll tell the story, right? So this is a real story. This isn't a bit, right? So apparently, Tommy Dreamer was in a very, very bad way when ECW went down, because the timeline was ECW went down, WCW went down a couple of weeks later, but in that interim, Paul Heyman had got a job with WWE. And obviously he never told the rest of the lads that, hey, I'm going to be working with WWE. So Tommy Dreamer, who was, as Martin said, owed a lot of money apparently, just showed up in WWE as a commentator, and Tommy Dreamer was just like, what's going on? So the story was, obviously WrestleMania 17 was in Texas. Texas don't have, or at the time didn't have, gun screening, so you could bring your gun everywhere you wanted to, which I'm not sure is the same now in Texas. Maybe listeners who were listening there can let us know. I know when I was in Vegas, they don't check your bags when you're going to DEF CON. So that's weird. But anyway, so his plan was he was going to get ringside seats, stand up, literally shoot Paul Heyman, do his pose, and then blow his brains out.
Come on, Tommy. So in terms of mental health, crying all the time is kind of a big step up for him.
Well, apparently the only reason he didn't do that was because Jim Ross rang him and said, hey kid, we have an idea for you.
Yeah. Oh, good man.
Can you imagine if he missed that phone call?
Yeah.
We don't want to make light of it, because the last thing we made light of was
wouldn't it be the ultimate kind of cosmic justice if Heyman hadn't paid him, so he didn't have any money to pay his phone bill, so he missed the phone call.
See, we shouldn't make jokes about it, because last thing we made joke about was Ric Flair and Sabu dying in the ring, and then
poor old Sabu.